Many cultures tell of a great flood sent to cleanse the world of its sins, but for the Greeks it was a moment of profound rebirth. We call it a catastrophe, yet it was the only way to save humanity from its own cruelty. I'm Nikos, speaking to you from Greece, and today we go back to the time of the couple that gave mankind a second chance. This is the story of Deucalion and Pyrrha. Long before the age of heroes, before the deeds of Perseus and the labors of Heracles, there was another era, the Age of Bronze. It was a time when the once noble race of mortals, shaped by the hands of Prometheus and gifted with a divine spark to forge the world, had lost its way. Men spared no kindness for one another and showed no reverence to the gods. Cruelty replaced honor. No longer did they lift their eyes to Olympus, nor offer thanks to the heavens. The hands once made for creation turned instead to violence and greed. The sacred laws were ignored, and oaths were broken. The gods looked on as the world they had shaped began to crumble beneath the weight of human arrogance. And none was more enraged than Zeus, king of the gods, who decided to descend to the earth to test the virtue of mortals himself. In the mountains of Arcadia there ruled the proud and irreverent King Lycaon. Zeus, disguised as a mortal, arrived at the gates of his palace and requested an audience with the king. Welcoming the stranger, Lycaon offered him hospitality, but suspicion stirred among his 50 sons. One of them noticed something uncanny. The traveler was too calm, and there was something in his eyes that inspired dread. To test the visitor's true nature, the king prepared a grand feast. He commanded his cooks to serve the finest dishes in the land. When the plates were brought forth, Lycaon and his sons devoured the meal with savage delight. But Zeus sat in silence, for upon the platters lay human flesh and bone, a monstrous offering meant to mock the gods. His eyes burned with divine fury. With a thunderous roar, Zeus overturned the table, and before any could react, he unleashed a mighty lightning bolt, reducing all of Lycaon's sons to ash. The palace crumbled in flames. Lycaon himself fled into the woods, hoping to escape divine judgment. But as he ran, his body began to twist and change. His limbs bent unnaturally, fur sprouted across his skin, and his voice dissolved into a savage howl. The god had cursed him to live on as a monstrous beast. From that day forth, Lycaon became the first of the werewolves, a creature ruled by rage and hunger, condemned to roam the earth, forever haunted by the memory of his crime. The great god had seen enough. In his eyes no righteous mortal remained. If one man could do this, what hope was left for the rest? Determined to cleanse the world, the king of the gods summoned his brother Poseidon. Together they would unleash their fury, cracking open the heavens and stirring the depths of the sea, to summon a tempest so fierce it would purge the world of its sins. But all was not yet lost for the children of Prometheus. Though bound in eternal torment for defying Zeus and gifted fire to mankind, the Titan still possessed the gift of foresight. He had foreseen the coming flood and the end of an era. In the land of Thea, there lived a man named Deucalion, son of the Titan himself. He was wise, kind, and just, a mortal faithful to the old ways. His wife was Pyrrha, daughter of Pandora, the first woman shaped by the gods, the very one who had unleashed sorrow and hope upon the world. One night, Prometheus appeared to Deucalion in a dream and gave him a solemn warning. "Son, a great deluge is coming, a flood that will drown all life. The wrath of Zeus cannot be stopped. You must build an ark, strong and steadfast. Fill it with food, prepare yourself, for the time of mortals is drawing to an end." Terrified, Deucalion obeyed. Without delay, he set to work on his vessel. Its design was humble, simple in form but sturdy in build. He filled it with food enough for many days, and then he waited. Soon the sky darkened. A first thunder shattered the silence. Deucalion and Pyrrha rushed into the ark. The great deluge had begun. The heavens tore open. Rain fell not in drops but in torrents, as if the sky itself was melting into the earth. Rivers overflowed their banks, the sea swallowed the shores, mountains vanished one by one beneath the rising tide. Panic overtook the hearts of men. They fled to temples and cried out for mercy, but this time no gods answered. They climbed statues, rooftops, even mountains, anything that rose above the flood, but still the water rose higher. For 9 days and 9 nights the storm raged. For 9 days and 9 nights the ark drifted through chaos. Within its walls the pair clung tightly to one another and listened to the howls of the drowned, to the silence that followed, to the creaking of a world undone. At last, on the 10th day, the ark came to rest upon the slopes of Mount Parnassus, a mountain sacred to Apollo and the Muses. The rain had ceased, the winds were still. The mortal world was gone, and in its place only silence remained. Deucalion and Pyrrha stepped out into the emptiness, and they wept, for their kin, for the world that was, and for the terrible burden of being the last. For what was the use of living if all life had perished? In the distance, amidst the endless ruins, one shrine still stood, the temple of Themis, goddess of prophecy, divine law, and the natural order of the cosmos. Together the couple climbed to the altar, fell to their knees, and prayed, not for comfort, but for guidance. "Great goddess," Deucalion pleaded, "you who guide the fates of gods and men, tell us, how may we restore the race of men? The world is silent. What must we do?" The temple trembled, and the goddess spoke through her oracle. "Cover your heads," she said, "and cast behind you the bones of your great mother." Pyrrha was horrified. Was this the end of mercy? To desecrate the dead? To scatter their mother's bones across the earth? She wept, vowing she would never dishonor the departed. But Deucalion was wise like his father. He remembered that oracles never speak plainly. He looked at the ground beneath them, the soil, the stones, and at once the riddle became clear. "Pyrrha," he said gently, "our mother is Gaia, the earth herself. Her bones are the very stones beneath our feet. This must be what the goddess meant." Together they covered their heads in reverence, picked up the stones around them, and cast them over their shoulders. And thus began a miracle. The stones struck the earth and began to change. From those thrown by Deucalion, many emerged, strong and unyielding, like the rock from which they came. From those cast by Pyrrha, women arose, graceful and steadfast, bearing her quiet strength. The couple watched in awe as they repopulated the world. These new people, born of stone and sorrow, would never forget the great flood. They learned that hope and humility could restore even a ruined world. They looked to the heavens before harvesting the fields, and they honored the names of Deucalion and Pyrrha, the ones who had turned despair into creation. Moved by their devotion, Gaia, the Mother Earth, stirred once more. She breathed life back into the land, filling it with animals of every kind, and thus life returned to every corner of the world. Deucalion and Pyrrha built their home anew, and in time they bore children of their own. Their eldest son was named Hellen, the forefather of all Greeks. From his name, all the people of Greece would forever be known as the Hellenes. And thus began the Age of Heroes. If you made it this far, I just want to say thank you. It means the world to me to share with you the myths and stories of my homeland. If there's one thing to take from today's tale, let it be this. Humility, wisdom, and kindness are not just simple virtues, they are the very forces that can rebuild the world from its ruins. And if you enjoyed this video, please stay tuned for the next episode of Greek Mythology. Until next time, take care.